going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Friarside chat. Tomorrow is a big day. It's opening day. It's San Diego Padres baseball, and the Friarside chat is back on. And I had to spice up the intro. Had to spice it up.
Everybody, we're here. All of you, all five of you. Mom, Dad, we're here. It is Padres opening day. I can't be there. I'll be at work, but I will not be working. I will be watching the pro
conference room on lock, game up on the screen. Easy, automatic.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Dude, it's so exciting. How about King getting the first nod? How about the new pitchers coming in to the rotation? How about the question marks being somewhat answered and having a decent idea of what we're going to get ourselves into? Veterans galore. Yep. Let's do it. Let's break it down.
So much to talk about. That and more. But yeah, let's hop right into it. I think you segued perfectly into the first couple things we should talk about. Let's talk about the roster because, in my opinion, there were some very questionable decisions, and we can get into that. But let's start with pitching, maybe a little bit less questionable. Obviously, still a very intriguing topic. But right, as it stands, like you just mentioned, the guy behind me in my screen here, Michael King, getting the opening day nod. We're stoked about that. Actually, that's awesome. We love that. Then we got Cease, 2. Third spot would be Yu Darvish, but he's dealing with the elbow inflammation, so it's going to go to Hart or Vasquez, presumably, or sure what it seems like. And then Pivetta in the 4 spot, and then the other one of Hart and Vasquez in the 5. How you feeling about that rotation? Shocking? Any shocking? Feeling good about it? What's your take?
Good about it. I'm excited about it too. The part that I don't love is Yu Darvish and the elbow inflammation. Not typically a great sign, especially this early in the year, before the year even starts.
I know.
But you know what's interesting is that Yu Darvish, if there's anything the Padres proved last year was you don't need you for the whole season. They were without him for a long time and put the pieces together and made it work, and we had a fresh Yu later. So I'm all about making sure we don't rush into it with Yu Darvish. But I'm extra excited to see our new pitchers coming into the mix. We've got the big lefty from Korea, who, to be honest with you, might be the most exciting player for me just because I have no idea who he is. His accolades are cool, and we just don't know if it's even going to translate to the MLB. But we're going to find out, and we get that opportunity to find out. So I'm excited he made the mix. And then Vasquez is your dude. You've always been high on him.
Yeah. Yep.
And he looks good.
So something about his stuff, I just think it just looks good. Honestly, I think if he just locate and hit his spots, like his stuff's got a ton of movement on it. We've seen little flashes here and there. Do I think he's going to be, like an ace by any means? No, but I think he could be a solid, like 4 or 5 starter for sure. I think he's got it in the tank. So hopefully, great opportunity for him to showcase that. So really looking forward to that.
Build off last year.
Yeah,
he had great outings last year.
Exactly. And so the guy who didn't make it, Kolek, was the other guy kind of fighting for that spot, which I don't know. I like, he kind of felt like he was a Rule 5 guy last year, right? And so it always kind of felt like it was just that, like, well, he's like good enough to where we kind of want to keep him around, but we don't actually think he's good enough to play on the team. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now. So I always find that really interesting with the Rule 5, and so I wasn't super shocked with him not getting the nod, even though he pitched really well this spring.
I think he suffers from like the generic video game player. Like he is as generic as it gets down to his average output. And that is not a slight on him. It's just I think that's why people don't get as excited about him. I mean, you look at his numbers on what he put up in the spring. He pitched the most innings out of those 3 that were in contention. I think he had the lowest ERA amongst the 3. And still just the ceiling isn't really there.
Yeah, just not anything remarkable. Yeah, really tough. And it very well, obviously it's a long season, and we always see throughout the course of the season, right? You always have something like 8, 9 starters who actually make starts for the team. So it's like we will be seeing him, I'm pretty sure, whether it's a spot start or who knows. But yeah, just kind of how it shakes out there. So we'll see. We'll see what's next for him. Hopefully he goes down, kills it in AAA. Let's move on to the bullpen a bit. I don't think there was really too many huge like shockers in there. At least from what I was seeing on the depth chart, it's right now it's Suarez as the closer. Setup guys are Adam and Estrada. Love to see that. Then you got Morahone, you got Matsui, you've got Peralta, Alec Jacob and Gillespie, I believe, was the last guy to make it, if I'm not mistaken.
Bunch of dogs.
Yeah, I mean that's just, and even the guys who aren't super proven, like pretty good stuff. Like Alec Jacobs got some funky
Oh my
stuff
god,
going on. The
I
like
love
when they
him.
talk about the knees and the elbows and the angles and everything, like that's your guy right there. Like,
He's a change of pace. No
yeah,
matter what, it doesn't matter who pitches before him or who pitches out after him. They're going to benefit from having his change of pace, his the change of the look. Like he will serve as a vital piece in this bullpen, I believe. And I just like how he carries himself.
hmm,
He's kind of the funky, quirky guy, and
yep,
but demands a certain level of a presence on the mound, which you wouldn't expect out of a guy who doesn't throw hard and is just kind of the outlier.
right. Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure he's still really young too, early
Yeah,
mid 20s. So some room for
affordable.
development. Yeah, that too. That doesn't hurt. But then yeah, a couple guys too who didn't make it. Then there was that Marinaccio guy we picked up,
Mhm.
free agent. There was and then a couple hurt guys too. Hoeing's hurt. He was solid
Mhm.
for us last year.
Yep.
Reynolds got a lot of potential too. And Cosgrove, our guy, Mad
You know
Dog.
who's you know what one of the best decisions I think was made this offseason during spring was the decision to not put Morihone up for that starting position. They could really use a lefty in that rotation. They did not force the issue. They've tried it
Hmm.
before, it didn't work, and it seemed like he was starting to settle into being a bullpen arm that was really effective. It might have they
Yeah.
might have found his path, and I can really respect that there was an opportunity and they said, let's stay on this
Just
path. It's looking
yeah.
good, and I
Right.
think he could be really dominant. This is his second year being like just a true bullpen arm.
Hmm.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I kind of like him in that sense. Like it's like I don't want to like necessarily compare him to like a Nick Martinez type, but like kind of, like has the ability to stretch it out if you need innings. Stuff is kind of good enough to where he could almost close out games, but ultimately he kind of is just going to fill a little bit of both those roles in the bullpen there. And two, the dude's got like effortless heat. Like anytime you watch him,
Yeah,
he's just got like such an effortless, motion and everything, but dude's pumping like 97, 98, like just sitting. And you're like, what?
yeah.
And so out of the bullpen, you can let it fly a little bit. He doesn't have to necessarily like pace
Let it
himself
eat.
as much. Yeah. So really exciting. I think a lot of great stuff going in the bullpen. We had talked, I think, in the last episode too. Like we really think Matsui hopefully is going to piece it together and find the strike zone a little bit better this year. And his stuff is pretty devastating. So lots of good things to look forward to there. But let's talk about the position players. And I think the most interesting
Mm-hmm.
part is the bench, honestly. But okay, just for the sake of just being
Sure.
thorough, I'll just go through the lineup or the starters, presumed starters, and then we'll get into the bench, who made it and who didn't, because that's where the juice lies, and that's where it's gonna get juicy.
Juicy,
Okay,
juicy.
starting from the top. Elias Diaz is going to be the starting catcher for the Padres, at least to start the season here. Not a huge shocker. It seemed like all spring that was kind of the direction. Um, I'm not going to get ahead of myself with the catcher talk. We'll get into it and we hit the bench time. Then going around the horn, we got Luis Ariz at first base, Jake Croner at second base, Bogey at short, and Machado at third. No surprises there. And then the outfield, Hayward presumably in left, Merrill center, Tatis in right. Are you shocked that they just like stuck with Hayward, even though like spring wasn't great, a lot of outfield options? Like, is that surprising, or do you think it's like, hey, this is why they signed the guy?
I think it's a message, and the message being that veteran leadership and the clubhouse is the utmost of importance, right? They brought Hayward in to be an example for the young outfielders and to hold somewhat of a leadership role. Not the same leadership role that Machado holds or that Joe Musgrove holds, but just another presence. So having him there seemed like a must um, from their vantage point. Because I agree, I think there's better options where if you were just to say place the best hitter in left,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
Jason Hayward. It was also very interesting to hear Schilt talk about how this was the most competitive spring training he's ever been a part of in any organization for the position player spot.
Hmm.
There was a lot of options, and to be honest with you, no one ran away with it.
Yeah.
We're not landing on Hayward because he won it. We're not landing on Connor Joe because he was a stud during spring. This is something where, like the starting pitching position, it's not over. This is not set in stone, and I think it's far from it, actually. It's going to come down to who's performing throughout the year, and it'll start to take shape and form over the first month or two. So I think there's a lot up in the air. But yes, I am shocked to see Hayward here. But it goes with what they're looking for, I guess.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see, I don't know, a little bit of more production from him in spring. I feel like just to kind of reassure folks, but
Sure.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Again, spring is not the regular season. So we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt to start. But yeah, but I think exactly what you were saying, like with how much competition was out there, I think you're right. It's like they were almost waiting for somebody to step up and like steal the spot. And since, there were some good performances and some not so much, it all just kind of
It was muddled.
Hayward,
Hmm.
um, so I
So
think
who
that's
made the
where we're
bench,
at.
Vinny? Who's on the bench?
All right, let's get into that. So let's start with the less juicy ones, and then we'll go to the juicy ones. So the ones that I think we can all kind of like agree upon right now, like Jose Iglesias made the team. We were both pretty excited about that. We know kind of exactly what you talked about. He's a veteran guy, great clubhouse from what everybody says. We saw what he did with the Mets last year. The dude's a freaking Latin pop star, for goodness sake. Like, how fun is that? And then he even was quoted saying he's working on a new song specifically for this year's team, which is pretty awesome. So
Love that.
stoked
Love,
to
love,
hear
love.
that. And not to mention, right, like he's been a plus defender his entire career. You can put him at any spot in the infield. He will be more than serviceable at any one of those spots. And then last year even had a resurgence with the bat, like hit freaking, I think he hit in like some crucial spots for like a playoff Mets team. Got
Hmm.
some huge hits. I think that one makes sense. It really does. It checks all the boxes that we've talked about. He can play anywhere. He's that veteran presence, good clubhouse guy. Where I think we can all pretty much agree like
Fits the
that's a
mold.
good guy to have on your club. Like we're not upset about that move at all. So that's a good one. Gavin Sheets. This one was a little bit surprising, but
Earned
he
it.
performed exactly like when we were talking about who's earning a spot. That's the dude right there, right? He was on absolute fire throughout the spring. I think he was like top four or something in all of baseball and like OPS for the spring, tied for homers. Like exactly what we were hoped he would do is exactly what he did. So hopefully he can take that momentum. Most likely, probably going to be in that left-handed bat DH spot. Um, but yeah, stoked that he's getting the opportunity. We were both, when the signing happened, we are like, very interesting. Like, hopefully he can, hit those power numbers. I mean, he's coming off from, not making a White Sox team essentially, so that's not a great sign. But same thing, he's had flashes in the past, so I think that's definitely a good. I think he earned it exactly like you said. Um, okay, time for the more. Let's get into these ones. Let's start with first base. Well, I guess backup first base slash right-handed hitting DH. Yuli Gurriel, age 40, makes the team. And what's almost even more interesting, I think, is like who doesn't make the team because of like his impact, right? Like basically for that role, Connor Joe is getting sent down to the minor leagues. And so I mean, I'll start with that. Basically, I feel like those two guys somewhat sort of fit the same slot in which Gurriel is going to fill, and they went with Gurriel over Joe. Very interesting.
Very interesting. I mean, this is the same guy that had the racial
Mm,
incident with you,
hmm.
Darvish. So, like,
Hmm.
you kind of feel like going into spring training, he's really got to prove himself and, you know, work his way into the lineup and earn the good graces. I mean, him and you obviously had their conversation about it, and they're cordial. They're teammates. It's
Right.
water
Both
under the bridge.
veterans. Yeah.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing. I don't want to build it up to be one. But when we're talking about when it could be a very small margin for who makes it, who doesn't, I'd
Yeah.
say that plays a bit of a role
Right.
if it came down to it. And he's here. He hit a couple home runs. He had some good at bats on the backfields against our own pitchers, and I think I don't know. Like I was talking about earlier, they're really valuing the veterans
Hmm.
and people who've been there and done that, and people who have shown that they can just perform at the MLB level. And I think with there being so many question marks, you're almost leaning on their pedigree over what they've done in one spring. Um, Me personally, I like to see the young guys come up and do their thing. That's how you get a Jackson Merrill type of
Yep.
performance. It's how you get affordable pitching and all these other things. But also, what's kind of getting overlooked is when you have those young guys come up, they are building blocks. It's not just
Hmm.
a 1 year rental. It's not a you're going to age and you know digress. It's supposed to be building, and that's what I'm most kind of disappointed about is not seeing those opportunities be given to those who have been in our organization for such a long time.
Yeah.
Mostly speaking to who was the left fielder,
Ornelas.
you know, Ornelas, right?
Yeah.
He's been grinding. It seems like it's finally his time. No one's running away with this left field race. Why don't we give him
Hmm.
a shot? If not
Yeah.
now, then when?
Yeah.
So yeah, a little disappointed.
Yeah, and I was gonna say like the all those kind of same points you were just bringing up. Like I was gonna say the same thing for Eggy Rosario. I think that was a guy
Hmm.
that both of us were pretty high on. Still same thing. Like young guy, been grinding, been a part of the organization for a long time, has had a cup of tea with the team here and there. All the metrics indicates that he's a solid defender. He's actually got a little bit of speed and he has great splits against lefties. So especially like in a case where like if we don't want Cronenworth every day, I guess playing against a lefty, I guess you got Iglesias as well. But throw an Eggy in there or give Manny a day or Bogarts a day off. Um, Eggy also. I don't know. I feel like he
Hmm.
fits a lot of those categories. And right, and why not? Why not give this like 25 or however old, I think he's 25 or 26-year-old kid
Young.
who's been in the organization like a real shot. Like he hasn't I feel like he hasn't had a real shot with the Padres yet. So
No.
it just seems like, I guess you could always make the argument that it's like he's going to get more at bats in AAA. He will come up during the season, which I'm sure is true, but it's like I don't know. I just feel like a boost of confidence to like giving that young kid the opportunity to make the big league club for I think the first time. I don't know if he just broke in camp with the team yet, but like that's I don't know. I think there's a psychological aspect to that too. I think,
I
and I just
wonder
would
if there's
love
any
to see him get the
bitterness.
opportunity.
Is there any
Oh,
bitterness with
you
the
know
group
what?
of guys that went down?
That's a great question. I just actually was looking at this right before we hopped on. He actually is out of options. So the Padres have to place him on waivers now that he didn't make the big league team. So he might be gone. Like
That's
if
crazy.
if another team takes a chance on him, which there's 29 other teams, it would be I don't know. I would imagine one of those clubs would pick him up, but if not, then we have a chance to get him back in the minors. But so that like also factors into that decision where it's like you're not just sending him down, like you might
Yeah.
lose him from the organization,
And
which
what does
is a
that
little
say
bit
if you're
tougher to
him, right?
swallow too. Yeah,
As the player.
yeah,
It's not just the team saying, "Hey, we believe in you. You're going to have your time." It's, "Hey, we know that someone else can take you, and this might be the last time you ever put on the brown and gold, but we like
we're gonna
Yuri
love.
Gurriel better."
Mhm. For a
Mm,
guy who's like maybe gonna hit, but is he gonna provide
mm.
any other defense addition? No. Base running addition? No. Like clubhouse, who knows? Again, there's that weird thing with Darvish, but we don't know otherwise. Like otherwise, it seems like he's pretty well liked. But I don't know. It's just like that one's a little bit of a head scratcher. And again, like hopefully Gurriel proves us wrong and just mashes, but it's a little bit hard to believe. I mean, like, age 40, I think he's been a negative WAR guy the last 3 years. I don't know.
Give him to me.
Yeah. I'll take him. What's not to
You
like,
sold me.
really?
You sold me.
Anyways, so that's our take there. We'll see. Again, hopefully he mashes, but that's where we stand. Another questionable one. Backup catcher for the Padres is not going to be our boy Campy. It's going to be Martin Maldonado.
World Series winner.
Yeah. I mean, he has a decent resume, but kind of same thing as Gurriel. Like last year, negative 1.3 WAR. I think he went like 1 for 20 this spring or something, they said. Yeah, he's been a negative to zero WAR guy since 2019. His last
You
like
want my take?
positive year was 2019. What
Here's
is
my
it?
take. With these moves, and I'll throw it back to you. But is this the end of Camposano and thinking that he might be the catcher of the future?
I
Reason I
was,
say that is
yeah, go ahead.
Ethan Salas is in the wings and they're waiting for him to develop. So it feels very much like when we were waiting for Tatis to take over shortstop. We were piecing together veteran
Yeah,
shortstops for 1 to 2 years.
Freddie
Freddie
Galvis.
Galvis, Ramirez,
Yeah,
and then it was just like, well, how do we just get to Tatis? I feel like that's what they're doing at the catcher position to get to Ethan Salas, and it's
hmm.
sad to see Campy
I
really
know.
not even be in the mix because at this point, you look at the like if it was Camposano and Maldonado, then it at least signifies that they're putting him there to learn from
Yeah,
Maldonado.
yeah,
But he's not even in the picture.
I know.
He's not here. It's
Yeah.
Maldonado and Diaz.
And yes, yeah, it's like I think you bring up a great point. That's kind of where my mind went too. It's like it feels a little bit like they're just like over it, like they're just over Campy, which is still really shocking because the dude's still only like 26 or something like that. Um, and it's like right, it's just like hard to swallow. It's like okay, so you're valuing a guy who handles a pitching staff well and hits sub 150 over Campusano. You know what I mean? And so it's like they're essentially what you're saying is you're telling me that you'll take a guy who provides zero offense for someone who might be I guess you could make the argument that he's like, helping pitchers develop,
Sure.
sequencing, whatever. They always talk about his baseball IQ. So it's almost like adding an additional coach, like an on-field coach. You're
Right.
valuing that over what Campusano can provide, which is kind of
And
wild to
potential.
think about. Yeah. Great. And it's like, I guess thinking like long game there too. 'Cause it's not like the Padres have like a deep catching farm system, right? It's like Maldonado, Diaz, Brett Sullivan, who's also like age 30 or something. And then it's Campy and Salas, so there's like quite a wide age spread there. You would think, right? Like we all thought it would be Campusano for a few years, Usher and Salas. Salas going to be the guy, but then maybe Campy becomes then the veteran who can kind of show him around and still provide some offense and a right-handed bat to Salas's left-handed bat kind of thing. I don't know, but it certainly feels like what you said. Like it does seem like they're kind of like almost over the Campy experience or whatever you want.
I think
I don't
there's
know.
probably more behind the scenes that we don't understand, right? Especially when it comes
Yeah,
to catchers. Catchers and their relationships with pitchers is one of the most important parts of the role.
true.
And if people are not enjoying pitching to Campy or significantly enjoying
Hmm.
pitching to someone else more,
Yeah,
that becomes a genuine issue that they need to address. And that could be a part of it. It could be his lack of reception to how hitting goes. He didn't want to change last year or whatever it could be. There's a
yeah,
lot that we don't know, but I feel like either that's going on
hmm,
or what we just explained. So I think those are kind of the two options. This is
yeah,
the only way that makes sense because on paper, Campy should make camp.
yeah.
No pun
Right.
intended.
Much pun intended. No, I think that's actually, I mean, what you just said actually, it didn't click for me at first, but I think you're totally onto something. Like, I remember now, when back in our playing days, how, yeah, the pitchers wanted to pitch to their guy. And it totally was a huge deal for them. And a confidence booster, they're on the same page. It made a huge difference. So I guess that's probably a big part of it too. But still,
Hey,
quite
it was
shocking
documented with
though.
Blake Snell.
Yeah,
Blake Snell didn't like pitching to him.
yeah, quite
Obviously not
shocking
a
though.
Padre. He's a Dodger, mother. But there has been
We don't need
talk
to talk
and
about that too much.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there
very
you go.
interesting. And then the last player to make the roster for the Padres is outfielder Brandon Lockridge, who also had a very good spring. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not upset about that one. I think the dude
T Wade, where
earned it.
you at?
Yeah,
That
he's the
hurts the clubhouse, I think.
same position as Iggy too, out of options. So he's going to be on waivers, and
Oof,
he might be gone.
that sucks. He,
Yeah,
I think he got a little too comfortable. Maybe I don't
it
know.
was almost yeah, like when he re-signed, I feel like everyone was just kind of like, all right, yeah, like all right, yeah, another year Wade, like that's fine, whatever. And then they just kind of were like, boop, like yeah, sure, he'll be the last guy off the bench. You know, we talked about it, like he'll fill his role, he'll play good defense, he'll run the bases great, he'll be a good clubhouse guy, not much offense. And then we kind of just were like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
But then they
I
made all
thought
these
he was
other
in.
signings, right? Then yeah, Iglesias and Gurriel were signed, and you know Lockridge has a good camp, and then before and Sheets has a great camp, and then before you know it, they're like, oh shoot, T Wade's the odd man out, isn't he?
I bet you he was blindsided. I'll be honest with you. I mean, his locker is with the boys, and they love him. They
Yeah.
really like Wade, and I like Wade. I think he'd be a great bench piece. I would take him over Gurriel, truthfully.
Hmm.
Um, I wonder, I'm so curious to see what the dynamic of this team is. You have a lot of pieces from last year that are no longer there that were clubhouse pieces. You got your profile, your
Hmm.
Ha-Sung Kim. Ha-Sung Kim was hilarious. The ongoing joke about his helmet, his like him and
He just had that
freaking
like little
Profar
brother
being rush
energy
hour.
for like everybody, you know, like
Right.
which is
And then you
huge.
have
Yeah.
Wade. Wade, who was just a very comfortable presence in the dugout, always
Mhm.
in a good mood. You know,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they've taken too much of that away to replace it with veteran leadership that is also, let's be honest, like the game is changing in how it's perceived in the right way to go about things. You
Yeah.
know, the veterans of when we were in high school and college, man, they weren't pimping the
Yeah.
bats. They actually took offense. There's a lot of unwritten. I hate when people harp on the unwritten rules because I think it's a beautiful part of our game
Yeah.
that people really put a negative light on. But it is changing, and we're putting in all these veterans who kind of live by that and have adopted some of the new wave baseball. But I think that I don't know. I just don't know if it's setting us back a little bit in the
Hmm.
clubhouse.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
and
know.
it's
We'll
just
see.
like it almost seems a little like counterintuitive too to like you know what everyone kind of thought as Preller's approach, right? Like so he's the guy who brings in stars, he brings in shortstops, he brings in
Mhm.
athleticism, you know, and it was almost kind of like we're just gonna get the best athletes on the field, you know, blah blah. And it seems like now it's like right to your point, you know, looking up and down this line, especially with these additions of Gurriel, Maldonado, Hayward, who doesn't move anywhere near as well as he used to. You know, like I guess, and like Sheets isn't really like an athletic guy. And then same thing, Machado's getting older, Bogey's getting older. Arise isn't super speedy type guy. Like you've got obviously you got Tatis, Merrill, Lockridge. Like those are your speed guys, but the rest of the team's kind of like I don't know,
You bring up a good point.
just not
Hear me
they're
out on
not
this. Hear
sparky
me
or
out.
something. You know?
Hear me out. Maybe, and just maybe, these veterans actually fit our archetype better. We don't have a ton of flashy players anymore. We've got Tatis who's flashy,
Hmm.
and maybe that ends there. I mean, Machado is a pro's pro.
Yeah.
Bogarts is a pro's pro. Jackson Merrill is
Merrill's
a
like that
very
both. Yeah.
subdued, like he has high energy, but he is not look at me. He's
Yep.
not saying, look at me. I am great. I'm going to flip
Yep.
this bat so high you'll notice it. He's just high energy. So he
Yep.
even fits into the old style, old brand of baseball of I'm
Yeah.
going to do what it takes to win and earn the respect of the veterans. So maybe, just maybe, it's actually creating something that will work out better and
Like a
everyone will
more
mesh a
mature
little bit better.
team or something.
A very mature team, a very everyone knows their role, everyone knows what to do. We know
Yeah.
how to be pros,
Yeah.
type of team. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, you could say that. I mean, like, look at the playoffs last year, right? Like the scenario where in LA, right? Like Padres are getting their emotions were getting the better of them, and that's when Manny had to call the team meeting, mid
Sure.
game right there, right? And
God,
I
I
don't
love
know.
that moment.
I know that was a good one. But right, maybe that's something you don't even need to do if you have all these team full of just veterans, you know what I mean? I don't know. Or right, could be like overall kind of cultural shift kind of thing too, like bringing so many veterans to train up these young guys so that when they do have their time to shine, it's a little more reined in or something. I don't know. I feel like we're maybe over speculating that a bit, but who knows? Who
It's
knows?
fun to talk about. We'll see.
Interesting nonetheless.
It's a
Let's
deep
move
dive. I'll
on.
tell you that.
Yeah, very deep. I got deeper than I thought. We just opened a can of worms and just kept on swimming. Let's hop to let's look at this series here, the opening day series or whatever you
And
want
then
to call it. Oh,
a game at the end, right? You said.
yeah, quick hitter, quick question predictions for the season.
All right.
So we won't
All
take
right.
too
Cool.
long. We actually need to wrap it up in the next like 9, 10 minutes here. All right.
Fire.
So, all right. So we got Padres and Braves, like we said. First matchup is Chris Sale versus Michael King. Pretty solid. Then there's Ronaldo Lopez versus Dylan Cease. Also pretty solid. And then it's Schwellenbach versus, we don't know
TBD.
yet. Yeah, TBD. Either Pavetta, Hart, or Vasquez. Pretty good pitching matchups, honestly, all the way through. Do you think one team has
It
the
should
edge over
be.
the other?
Um, I think game one edge goes to the Braves only because Sale really had a
Yeah,
great year
bona
last
fide.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really great year. But I think King can beat anybody. So I'm not saying it's in the bag for the Braves. But if you're going to ask me on paper if I'm a betting man, edge goes to the Braves. But every
Yeah.
other matchup, I think, goes to the Padres, pending who they
Cease,
put in the
yeah.
three. Cease,
Yeah.
I take Cease all day. But yeah, and then Pavetta against whoever he goes against, I think is a big edge. And then they probably take the edge on either Hart or Vasquez.
hmm Yeah. But yeah, so like pitching looks pretty even. And then as far as like the Braves team, pretty solid. You mentioned it before. Profar is going to be back at Petco. That'll be a fun to kind of see. I'm sure they'll have a scoreboard montage for him. He deserves it. Everyone's going to be stoked for him.
For sure.
But yes, they got Profar in the outfield. Acuna's hurt to start the year. So it's
Yep.
Profar, Harris, and Kelnick out there, presumably. Infield is Olson, Albies, Orlando Arcia, Austin Riley, pretty solid. And then catcher is Baldwin, Drake Baldwin, I think.
Wow.
Big name, big name. Better watch out. But now he's gonna
Now he's going
watch.
to hit
He's
a
gonna
home run.
go
Now we
off.
just
I
said that.
know.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me knock on
Yep.
some
You did it.
knock on the old noggin here. Just kidding. This dude is gonna be so good. I need to stop. I'm gonna stop while I'm behind now. But anyway, so they're a solid Braves team. They have some injuries, but overall, like kind of organization, they're a solid team. We played them in the first round of the playoffs last year, so I wonder if they'll have a little bit of "ooh, gotta get you back," but we'll see.
Ooh, got to get you back.
Ooh,
Yeah, no,
gotta
it'll
get
be
you
fun.
back.
Dude, it'll be a really fun series. I'm excited because it's a decent litmus test too. It's not you're not playing the Dodgers where it's like,
Yeah,
holy crap, what an uphill battle this will be to just win a couple games. But
yeah.
it's also not you're not playing the White Sox. This is the
hmm
Braves. This is a playoff caliber team,
Yep.
and it's going to be really fun to see how we stack up. I'm stoked for this series.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, super
Good
stoked. But
baseball
yeah, it's gonna be fun. I agree. It's a good series. It's kind of like it's a upper echelon team without right having to like completely go nuts against the Dodgers or something.
hmm
So yeah, I think it's gonna be agreed. Like a kind of a great way to start. Um, but yeah, let's hop into some quick hitter questions. There's not too many, but I want them to be quick. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
you should cue some trivia music. But anyways, all right. Question number one: which Padres starting pitcher will throw the most innings this year in the regular season?
Hmm. I mean, Cease is the obvious pick because he's a workhorse. Hi,
Mhm.
Cat. Um, but let me go out on a limb and say Pavetta.
Ooh, that's what I put. That's what I put down. I just have a
Nice.
feeling he's just new city, new man. Hi, Kitty.
Bye, Kitty. Next one, fire.
Next one, number two. All right. Who is most likely to have a breakout season for the Padres?
Hmm. Wouldn't it be great if it was Sheets? That'd be fun. Just
That'd
keep
be cool.
the spring training momentum rolling.
That'd be really
Uh,
cool.
You know what? I'm putting this one out there, and I really hope it comes true. These are all new to me, but Bogarts. Let me get a
Mm.
Bogarts resurgence. He still got it. He
Yeah.
just needs to put it together and stay healthy.
Keep
So
that wrist
Bogarts.
healthy. Nice. I got some weird one. I put some like weird ones for my answers. I put one for pitcher and one for player. I put well, this one's not too weird, but I put Yuki Matsui. We talked about
Mm,
it. If he can
I like it.
find the zone, I think he's going to be like
Confidence.
kind of as good as advertised when we first got him. So I think it could be the year he kind of pieces it together because I feel like last year, right, it was like they're almost expecting him to be like the setup guy. And it was like new country, new team, new teammates, new language, new food, like new everything, right? And I feel like sometimes we underplay how hard that transition is because some guys make it, look so easy, but that's definitely a real thing. So I feel like he's just going to be in a much better like mental state and everything. So this would be great.
New
Um,
school, new bay pool. Amanda Bynes, she's the man quote. All right, go ahead.
that's great. And then my like completely off the wall one, I was going to say Campy is going to come back with a revenge if he doesn't get claimed on waivers. They're going to call him up at some point. He's going to go on an absolute rampage um, at the plate. That's my
Uh,
like way
That'd be
out there
sick.
take. Hot. That's the one that's like hot. Like touch the pan hot. Ooh, that's hot. So
As
that's
someone
the
who's
outtake.
gone down that road, don't do it. I literally put him down as like our all-star this year. I'm like,
And that all goes out the
wrong.
window too if he gets claimed on waivers or whatever. Wait, was he a waiver guy? No, he's not. So never mind. I take that back.
Next.
Okay, next one. Are the Padres making the playoffs?
This is not even as a Padre hopeful. I think so. I think the team is solid. Like put them on paper, they're great. Put them on the year that they just had. They just came off a 90 plus win season and they lost, some good bullpen arms and a left fielder and a catcher. The core is there. I think
Yep.
they will make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
I
the
think
NL West has gotten harder.
I know. I was like trying to not be biased. I'm like, man, it's so hard to not be biased, but I'm like, I think so. But I think if I had to pick, I think they're like the last team to make it in. But I still have confidence in them.
We'll
All
see.
right. All right. And we'll do one more. Who will be the Padres regular season MVP?
Give me because for me it's between like Machado, Tatis,
Merrill.
and Merrill.
Yeah.
I'd love to see
Or a
Merrill do
pitcher.
it.
You never know.
Yeah, give me Merrill. I think
I
he
feel like
established
basically was
himself in the
last year, right?
clubhouse. He
Hmm.
was last year. I stand by it. He was our MVP last year. It wasn't even a question for me. And the team has accepted him. I love the way he plays the game. It's team first, and he's just getting better and better. I hope he has a great sophomore year and he has the mindset and the makeup to be able to do that. I don't worry about him crumbling under the mental pressure, which I think is what happens to most
Hmm.
sophomore players.
Awesome. Cool. And then I'm going to take Manny Machado. I think if from what it sounds like, it's the first year that he's like
Healthy.
fully healthy again
Mhm.
and he seems stoked about it. So I think he's going to bring some just like a little bit more juice maybe than he had. Like when you're feeling good, like it's easier for you to kind of get that swag back. Not that he like lost the swag, but like that true Machado leader, best guy on the team kind of swag. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of that Machado again. Gonna hit 30 plus home runs and do the whole thing. Play great defense again. It's gonna be awesome. But
Can't
cool.
wait.
That's
It's
it.
time.
It's
It's time,
time.
baby.
Get ready. Get ready. Grab a hot dog. Grab some Cracker Jacks. Get ready for the game. I don't know if that came from.
Get your quinoa.
Just fired up is all. But anyways, once again, thank you everybody for joining us. As always, we're your hosts. This is Brandon. I'm Vince. This is the Friarside Chat, and baseball season is back. Let's
We are
go.
back.
You go
Go
Pots.
Pods.
Later.